Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. Today I wanted to do a bit of a catch-up, like I feel like I'm doing every single video, but I am not going to make any excuses. I'm just going to talk briefly about what I've been up to, and then I thought that I would do the mid-year freakout tag today as a kind of mid-year check-in, see where I'm at with my reading this year, and just kind of have more of a chatty video in general. I am now officially on my vacation. Today is Saturday, so I've had 2 days off so far, and I've just been spending that time enjoying the free time and watching a lot of K-drama. I'm in a K-drama mood at the moment, watching movies and sort of just relaxing. I've gotten into crocheting, which has been really fun and I've been very obsessive regarding it. I think I've found that when I'm interested in something, I tend to really deep dive into that thing and basically don't want to go to sleep because I kind of want to continue doing it. And I think in general I have so many things that I would like to do over my 4 weeks off work this summer that I am kind of struggling to even fit all of these things in. And one of them is learning how to crochet and really get into it. I started learning last summer, but then I made one bag and never got around to doing anything more than that. So now I'm currently making a sweater. But one of the other things on my summer bucket list is to get back into filming and making videos. I have definitely things that I'm planning to do, but I have not had the energy to just sort of sit down and go through the motions. I have filmed a spring wrap-up, which is long, and I'm still editing that to get it down to a reasonable length of time, but it's probably going to be a long video anyway, just because I haven't done any wrap-ups this year aside from January. So it's February, March, April, May combined, and I thought that I would do a summer wrap-up after August as well to sort of wrap up in bigger chunks because I haven't been doing these regular. So that I think is the catch-up thing. So other than that, I've just been busy with work, busy with doing more active things. I think especially when May came around and we had really fantastic weather all through May. So I'm just gonna be chatting for a little bit. You can skip ahead if you want to get to the tag that I will put timestamps in the description. So May was a very, very summery month. It was perfect for Springathon. I did read 2 books for Springathon. I'll talk about those in the spring wrap-up. But I really enjoyed the experience. I did the Instagram challenge, which I was very active on. Not so much on YouTube, which I tend to feel like I'm not... It's hard to be hosting things and at the same time really participating. So it's always kind of a balancing act, and I think this year I didn't end up doing any videos for Springathon that I'd planned to do. I still have some things that I would like to get to at some point. But yeah, so time just went very quickly. And then as June came around, I started doing more summery activities. I've been hanging out with friends, long-time friends. We just met this Tuesday. 2 of my childhood friends that I've known for almost 30 years. I've been going to the cinema, I've been got my nails done, I've been going to concerts, I've been traveling, so it's been a lot and most of it has been really fun. But I've also found that as an introvert, as a person who is very easily overstimulated by the exterior world, I've found myself to be a little bit overwhelmed and exhausted in the evenings and after doing social things. and stuff like that, so I haven't had the energy to sit down to read, let alone make videos. So my reading has been sporadic. I would say since the springathon I haven't been reading very quickly, or many days have gone by without any reading at all. But now in the last maybe week or so, I've been trying to really prioritize reading because it calms me down, it sort of roots me down, and I think the book that I've been most actively reading is Middlemarch, which I am now, I think, have passed the 70% mark. I'm listening to the audiobook, and one of the audiobook versions, and I'm loving it. I have actually tried to read Middlemarch several times before. So I looked at my Goodreads stats for this book, and the first attempt was 2017, the second attempt was 2020, then 2021, then this year. And the furthest I've gotten to is about the halfway point. So I'm already past that, and I think this time it won't be a problem to continue on to the end, because I've been reading it since I think the 1st of May, so a little bit over 2 months, and very much enjoying it and enjoying taking my time with it, because it's such a wide scope kind of story. There's so many characters, so many lives in this community that George Eliot is chronicling, and I love when she comes through as an author, when she is sort of making commentary on her characters. I love the tongue-in-cheek attitude that she has towards them. I love the complexity of the characters and the dynamics and their relationships. I love the small town drama. I love Dorothea. I definitely have a preference to her because I can relate to some of her thinking, even though I'm also very frustrated with her. So very much enjoying listening to that. So like I said, today is Saturday. Next Tuesday I will be traveling to Italy and will be there for 2 weeks. I've packed several books, and I kind of would like to make a summer TBR. I don't know if it's too late to make a summer TBR. And I also don't want this channel to only be TBRs and no talk about what I'm actually reading, but I'm kind of wanting to do it as a sort of jumping off point, and also as a sort of, I don't know, like a framing of what I would like to prioritize in the next 2 months or a month and a half. So maybe I'll do that. If so, you will see it, obviously. And yeah, I definitely have a lot of authors that I would like to get to before the end of the year, and some of it I will talk about in the tag portion of this video. But yeah, so I'll be in Italy for 2 weeks, and then I have a bit 1.5 week left of my vacation after that as well. And yeah, I think that was all I wanted to say at this point in time. Oh, I want to sort of mention that I am one of the judges for a Swedish literary prize called Prisma. It's a queer prize that is organized by a queer bookstore in Malmö in Skåne, in the southern parts of Sweden. If you are interested in learning more about it, I will put a link to the literary prize webpage in the description. If you read in Swedish, you can nominate books for the various categories that are being judged. It's very helpful to spread the word about queer literature in Sweden. So if you're interested, definitely check that out in the description. I am one of the judges for the biography category, so it's biographies and memoirs, and the books that I read for that I probably will not be talking about in any I probably won't be talking about them on this channel for the duration of the judging process. So yeah, it's a really fun project that I am participating in this year, and I'm so glad that I signed up to be a judge. So I am going to be reading quite a lot of queer lit in the Swedish context this year, which I'm excited about. So let's get into the mid-year freakout tag portion of this video and leave the chatty catch-up behind us. Okay, let's see, I have the questions here, and I think originally this was created by Ariel Bassett, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I've said that before, or I've heard it before. I'm just gonna put it out there that I think the original was created by her. Okay, so the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2024. I think probably the one that I'm thinking about most often, or that has lingered the longest for me this year so far, is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I don't know what it is about this book, but it just really captured my interest, my attention, and like I said, it has been haunting me since I read it, which I think was in April. I don't think I've felt that compelled by a book this year, or even in the last few years. I feel like it really, yeah, it's really captured me in a way that I have a hard time explaining. But it's a book about two women who's in a relationship, and one of them is a marine biologist. She goes down a submarine for a scientific research, and something happens in the submarine. When she returns, she's different, and one of the wife of this woman is chronicling the aftermath of what happened, and the wife is telling her story leading up to the crisis point. There's a lot of mysteries within this book. There's a lot of mystery surrounding everything that is happening in the book, both what the crisis was all about, but also the aftermath and what is happening to them. It's filled with marine life stuff and deep sea stuff, and I've been so obsessively interested in deep sea related things after reading this book. I was already interested in water and marine biology in general before reading Our Wives, but I think especially sort of the way that that creatures live in deep sea conditions have been just captured my brain in a way that I can't, like, yeah, that is why this is the best book of the year so far for me. The second question is best sequel you've read so far in 2024, and actually I have read quite a few sequels this year, unusual for me, but the one that I chose is, well, it's not a sequel in the sense of it's not the second in a series, but it's a follow-up, and it is Heartstopper Volume 4. So I read Heartstopper Volume 1 through 3 last year, and then 4 and 5 this year. But 4 is my favorite in the entire series because it's focusing on Charlie's eating disorder and mental illness or mental health, how that has been shaped by trauma. So it's sort of diving into the bullying and everything that happened to him regarding him being outed, and how that affected him, not just immediately. Obviously with a situation like that it's hard initially, but also the way that it didn't leave him, even though he was surrounded by friends, by family who knew about him, who knew what he was going through, who were supportive about his sexuality. He couldn't just let go of the trauma just because he had a safety net. It didn't go away, and I love the way that it was explored in this volume, and it was something that that I definitely felt that I could sense through the previous volumes, but that I really appreciated the deep dive of in Volume 4 particularly. I feel like it's such an important story to tell, and how eating disorders is not about eating, which I feel like is it's such a common misconception regarding eating disorders. Eating disorders is so much more about control, and I think that is something that is often lacking for me in narratives that deal with this or touch on this. without really giving complexity to the topic. So I loved this volume. I think it's one of the best in terms of seeing Charlie's character and understanding where he's coming from and his behaviors in general throughout the series. I love the Heartstopper series in general, but this was my favorite of the series so far. The third question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. I have several, but I've chosen two, one nonfiction and one fiction book. The first one is the nonfiction one. It's Ending the Pursuit, Asexuality, Aromanticism, and Agender Identity. I am now always looking for asexuality books. Because I'm ace, I'm always looking for representation, both nonfiction-wise and fiction-wise, which I'll talk about in my wrap-up as well. But so because I have that focus, I'm always keen to read any books regarding this topic, and this is one of the 2024 releases that I'm very excited about, that I'm looking forward to reading and that I'm going to be trying to read this summer. The fiction one is Private Rights by Julia Armfield, which is the new release of hers. I mentioned Our Wives Under the Sea that has gripped my heart in a way that I can't put into words, and I want to read Salt Slow as well. I have it on my shelves, but Private Rights is the new release that I'm very, very excited about. I've heard mixed things about it, but I have a good feeling about it, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. I don't know what it's about, to be honest. The fourth question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and honestly a lot of the books that I've been looking forward to this year have already been released, but one that is being released in August I think is Mammoth by Eva Baltasar. I think this is supposed to be part of the trilogy that started with Permafrost, and the second one was Boulder. And Eva Baltasar writes about lesbian characters, about queer relationships, queer characters, and it's funny because I love Permafrost. I did not like Boulder. I can see why other people liked Boulder, but I had mixed feelings about it. I was kind of disappointed, to be honest. But I think it's a lot to do with how I am as a reader and who I am, not only about the book. But Permafrost was a fantastic book that I need to buy a copy of so I can reread it. And Mammoth is, like I said, part of the trilogy, so I'm really excited to read it and see where it lands for me in terms, since obviously I've had mixed reactions to her books so far. I find that Eva Baltasar is a really great writer, so I'm hoping that I will like Mammoth more than I did Boulder. But yeah, I'm just excited to see where the sort of overarching themes for this trilogy is, because I don't really see how they're connected so far. Maybe someone can enlighten me, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. Okay, the fifth question is biggest surprise, and I think probably it is The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd. Not simply because it was a fantastic book, which it was, but also because of the reading experience. I did a buddy read of this with Lindy from Lindy's Magpie Reads. I will put a link to her channel below. I think it was just a buddy read experience filled with surprises because it brought a lot of memories back for both of us. And because of that, it became something more than just a reading experience for me. It's something that felt like a very healing experience. I don't know, like it was something that felt beyond just reading a book. It felt like a very personal journey and a very communal journey because we were sharing memories and stories. The sixth question is favorite new author. I'm probably gonna have to say Julia Armfield, just because, I mean, Our Wives Under the Sea. And yeah, I don't think I have any other in mind particularly. Although, like I said, I am reading Middlemarch and really enjoying George Eliot's authorship through the book. So maybe that will be a new author favorite. But yeah, I would say Julia Armfield. She's appearing in several of these questions. The 7th question is newest fictional crush. I don't think I have any. I'm not a person who tends to really love the characters that I'm reading. Like I said, I mentioned Dorothea, which is a character I'm really enjoying, but I wouldn't say I absolutely love her. It's just that I enjoy following her. Maybe it would be Tori in Heartstopper. She's also ace, which is something I really appreciate, and I love the way that she's protective over Charlie. I love how she stands up for herself and for others. Yeah, I will say Tori from Heartstopper. The 8th question is books that made you cry, and I cannot think of any other book than I Talk Like the River. I Talk Like a River, which is a picture book. I put a photo of the book in the... I will put information about the author and illustrator in the description. I think it's Jordan Scott who's the author. And it's one of those books that when I started reading it, I wasn't immediately captured. I was even thinking that maybe this isn't for me because while the illustrations were beautiful, I didn't see how they were connected to the story or the storytelling. But somehow it just sort of hit me like a gut punch. It's a story about being different and learning to embrace that about yourself, learning to see the beauty in that. And as a child, I feel like it can be such a vulnerable experience to be different in any way, to feel yourself being judged and being observed in a way that doesn't allow for any insecurity. And it's such a hard time to learn to embrace yourself. So I really loved what this book stood for. I love how I think it's the grandfather who is allowing this kid to find solace in nature, allowing this kid to have a space to be themselves and to learn to love that, to learn to love how they are different, and how them being themselves is the best they can be. The next question is books that made you happy, and I have again 2 books for that. One of them is Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami, and the reason this makes me happy is because of its existence. I will talk more about it in my wrap-up, but basically the protagonist, without using the word asexuality or asexual, she does convey herself to be so. And this is an important element because she also wants to have a child. And she wants to have a child without having a partner, without having sex. And that is such an important story to tell, I feel like, and meant a lot to me to see that story existing in literature. And on the one hand, I'm surprised that I've heard no one talk about the ace rep in this book. On the other, I'm not surprised because I don't think if you don't have that perspective actively in your mind when you're reading, it's so easy to miss those details. She is talking about how she doesn't want to have sex, doesn't enjoy sex, and how that is the reason that her previous relationship ends. And it's also the reason that she doesn't end up having a new relationship. And so she's probably aro ace, and as I said, without using the terms, you can tell from what she's saying and how she's behaving. And I feel like seeing someone who wants to have a child as an ace person, as an aro ace, is so important for me, that kind of narrative exists. And I kind of want to spread the word surrounding it for other ace people. So I'm thinking of ways that I can maybe even do like a book list or book recommendations regarding Ace Rep, because it's very hard to find lists with adult fiction. It's there's more nonfiction coming out now, but very, very little adult fiction, mostly YA, that I think uses the term more frequently, and therefore it's easier to catalog as such. But yeah, that is something I want to sort of have in the back of my mind to look for, and to curate that kind of list. But that is for the future. I don't have enough titles at the moment. But that is one of the books that made me happy this year for its existence. The other one that made me happy is 84 Charing Cross Road. And this is a book. This is a book of letters. So it's letters from the author Helen something. Writing to a bookseller. So she's in the US, she's writing to a bookseller in the UK asking for certain books, and at first it's just sort of she makes orders of particular book titles, some of them hard to find, some of them easier to find, so it's a mixture of books, and this back and forth becomes a friendship. And there's something about the sense of community with book lovers that warmed my heart, and that made me really appreciate the bookish online community that we have on BookTube, that we have on Instagram, and how that has shaped my life. I met two of my BookTube friends for the first time last year, Oliver and Nicole, and it was such a wonderful experience, and to know that we got to know each other through these bookish communities, and how we would never have crossed paths otherwise. I could really, I don't know, this book really reminded me of all of the good things that these communities have done for me and how much I appreciate them. So because of that, it made me really happy. The 10th question is most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. And honestly, I don't know. I have bought several books and I'm not even sure which ones I bought this year, but one that I'm thinking of immediately is a coffee table book with information about different lighthouses in Sweden. It's just information about the lighthouse, if you're able to visit it or not, sort of just general information about it and some history. And many of you know already that I love anything water related, and lighthouses is definitely one of the things that I love. And so when I saw this, there's an annual book sale in Sweden every February, and I bought this there. I actually had passed on it at first because I thought, I don't really need this big oversized coffee table book on lighthouses. I can just borrow it from the library and read the snippets that I'm most interested about. So I left it the first day, but then I couldn't stop thinking about it and regretting it intensely that I didn't buy it. And so the next day I went there again, and thankfully it was still there, so I ended up buying it, and I'm very, very happy about it because like it is very much of interest to me. And I am also kind of tempted to make some trips specifically to the lighthouses in this book. The 11th question is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I mentioned earlier that I'm part of the Prisma Literary Prize, and so I'll definitely be reading some books for that, which I probably won't be able to talk about for a while yet. And I also have certain authors, certain books that I really want to get to. Obviously, the Julia Armfield, both Salt Slow and Private Rights is high on my priority. Ending the Pursuit is another priority. Virginia Woolf, I need to read this summer. I've been meaning to read her books for the last few summers because I always end up thinking I'm gonna leave it for the summer when I have more time and just be able to sort of read through the entirety of the book, because she's writing these stream of consciousness books. I feel like when I start reading the book, I need to read it in one gulp, and I always think that I will leave it for the summer when I'm off work. And so this year, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna read at least one Virginia Woolf. I want to read Jessica J. Lee's Dispersals. I started it during the Springathon, and I want to continue on with it. I want to finish Middlemarch. But I don't know what else. Like, I feel like it would be difficult to just choose a few that I need to read before the end of the year. Also, I want to revisit In Memory of Memory, which I started reading, I think, when it came out by Fitzcarraldo in the English translation by Maria Stepanova, which I loved, and I think I read maybe a third of it, and then for various reasons got sidetracked, left it. But she is coming to the Swedish Book Fair in Gothenburg in September, and I would really love to go and listen to her talk. So I thought that maybe I will try to revisit In Memory of Memory before then. So that is also something that I would love to read this year, and preferably before the end of September. So yeah, so I think that was all I wanted to say for this video. It's been a bit of a ramble, a bit of a catch up, a bit of a mid-year freak out tag. And yeah, I think that was all. I will try to make a summer TBR, and also soon put up my spring wrap-up video, and we'll see whatever else. I know there have been tagged in a few tags as well that I would like to get to at some point. But yeah, I hope you're all well. Let me know what's up with you. What are you up to? Do you have vacation now? What are your summer reading plans? Let me know, and let's chat in the comments. I hope you're all doing fantastic, and I will talk to you soon, hopefully. Bye.